It was an ordinary day on Earth in the year 2135, when everything changed without warning. The world's scientific community received an unexpected transmission from deep space, a signal unlike anything they had ever encountered. The signal was strange in its composition, sharp pulses of energy that seemed to echo through the fabric of space itself. It wasn't just a simple radio wave or anomaly. It was intentional, precise, a deliberate message from somewhere far beyond Earth's reach. At first it was dismissed as a glitch, a mere cosmic oddity, but as the signal persisted and its patterns became more distinct, humanity began to take notice. Teams of astronomers and astrophysicists began scrambling to decode the message, working around the clock to decipher its meaning. Days turned into weeks as the signal continued its rhythmic pulse, cutting through the vastness of space, unyielding and constant. Then something extraordinary happened. The signal shifted. It began to reveal a sequence of numbers and symbols, patterns that clearly represented a language no human had ever seen before, yet there was a haunting familiarity to it, as if it was something buried deep within the collective subconscious of the human race. Governments worldwide took immediate action. They began to assemble the world's brightest minds in an effort to crack the code. The global community was in a state of unease. This strange transmission was not a random occurrence. It was a message. It wasn't just a signal of scientific curiosity. It was a call to something greater. But what? In the meantime, strange things began happening across the globe. Whispers of odd occurrences began to spread. Secret military installations reported strange anomalies in their own communications. Alien artifacts began appearing in classified research labs, with no explanation, no answers, no understanding of how they had arrived. The signal grew stronger now, not just a faint whisper in the dark, but a booming voice across the stars, reverberating into Earth's atmosphere. And at that moment it was clear this wasn't just a message for humans, but a call for something else, something far older and more significant than anything anyone could have ever imagined. The signal was not intended to contact Earth. It was meant to awaken something hidden within humanity itself. It was a message to the human race, not from a distant civilization seeking trade or diplomacy, but from a long-forgotten past, from a time when humanity was more than just a primitive species. On a small blue planet, they were warriors forged in the fires of galactic conflict, and the signal was calling them back to their rightful place among the stars. But this revelation came with an eerie realization that Earth had been left alone for a reason, that the galaxy had moved on and forgotten about them. And now the signal's return was a terrifying reminder that humanity's legacy was not one of peace or harmony, but one of war, of forgotten warriors who were feared across the stars. The fear across the galaxy began to build, not because of the message itself, but because of the implications of its meaning. It was a warning to those who would dare challenge Earth, a reminder that humanity had once been powerful, and that power could rise again, but only if it was awakened. Across the galaxy, alien species began to sense the disturbance, the ancient fear rising once more. They began to watch Earth closely, preparing for the worst. As the signal continued its relentless pulse across the galaxy, its presence was impossible to ignore, even by the most advanced civilizations across the stars. The message had been deciphered, but its meaning remained unclear. Each race that received it experienced a profound sense of unease. Something ancient had stirred, something that should have stayed forgotten had been awakened, and with it came an overwhelming sense of dread. The Galactic Council, composed of the most powerful and influential species in the known universe, convened in an emergency session to discuss the implications of the signal. Their representatives from various worlds gathered in secret locations across the galaxy, sharing their findings, their concerns, and their fears. The message was not just a beacon. It was a threat, one that had the potential to upend the delicate balance of power in the galaxy. For centuries, the Galactic Council had ruled with an iron fist, maintaining peace through dominance and control. But there were whispers of an ancient prophecy that spoke of a time when the galaxy would be challenged by a race of warriors unlike any other. Their power was said to be vast, and their will unyielding. The humans of Earth were thought to be nothing more than a myth, an insignificant species too primitive to pose any real threat to the galactic order. Yet now the signal had proven otherwise. Fear spread like wildfire through the council races. Some believed the humans had merely uncovered an ancient weapon, and others feared the awakening of a dormant military force capable of rivaling the most powerful factions in the galaxy. All shared the same fear, though the humans were not to be underestimated. They were a potential wildcard whose power had been sealed away for millennia and could not be ignored. On Earth, the situation was equally tense. The world's governments had been scrambling to respond to the growing crisis. Secret meetings were held behind closed doors. Military leaders convened with scientists. Strategists worked tirelessly to understand the hidden meaning behind the signal and to determine what action should be taken. If the galaxy's greatest powers were watching Earth, what was the right course of action? The global response was divided. Some nations advocated for immediate peace talks with the alien civilizations to avoid confrontation. Others were more pragmatic, advocating for a strong defensive stance in case of an invasion. As the panic spread through the world's capitals, one thing became clear: there was no turning back. The moment the signal had been received, humanity was now thrust into the galactic spotlight, and no matter how much they tried to prepare, the truth was they were unprepared for what lay ahead. A new generation of leaders emerged on Earth, those who understood that the survival of the planet could not be guaranteed by diplomacy alone. They began to push for a more aggressive response, one that embraced humanity's inherent potential for strength and resilience. They believed Earth's best chance of survival lay in awakening the dormant abilities that had been passed down through the generations, abilities that the galaxy had long feared. Meanwhile, deep in the heart of Earth's most secure research facilities, the scientists continued to study the ancient signal. Slowly unraveling its deeper secrets, they began to make a shocking discovery. Embedded within the cryptic transmission were hidden instructions to activate human genetic potentials, the dormant warrior abilities hidden in the depths of human DNA waiting to be unlocked. As the first hints of these abilities began to manifest in a few select individuals, the world's governments faced a critical decision. Should they reveal the truth to the public and risk mass panic, or should they keep this discovery hidden and only utilize it when the time was right? But time was quickly running out. Alien forces were already on their way. Their ships had been detected by Earth's observatories, massive fleets from across the galaxy converging on the planet with one goal in mind: to determine what humanity's awakening truly meant and to ensure that it would not disrupt the order of the galaxy. The storm was gathering, and Earth had little time left to prepare for what was coming. The first alien ship to arrive in Earth's orbit was a colossal vessel from the Xheran Empire, an ancient and highly advanced civilization that had long dominated the galaxy. Their ships were sleek and silent like shadowed predators, and their reputation for ruthless conquest was well known across the stars. As soon as the ship entered Earth's atmosphere, a wave of anxiety swept through the world's leaders. The moment was upon them. Earth's isolation was over, and it was unclear whether humanity would be viewed as a new ally or a dangerous threat. The ship's descent was flawless, cutting through the skies with a grace that belied its size. It came to rest in a desolate part of the planet, far from prying eyes, near a remote military base set up to handle first contact scenarios. Earth's best diplomats and military leaders gathered at a secure location in anticipation of the alien delegation. But there was no cheering, no excitement, only fear and uncertainty. When the doors of the ship finally opened, the first beings to step onto Earth's soil were tall, slender figures, their skin shimmering like polished obsidian, their eyes dark and fathomless, glowing with an intelligence that seemed both ancient and cold. Their appearance was unlike anything humanity had ever encountered, and their presence sent ripples of unease through every human who laid eyes upon them. The alien leader, a being called Varkal, addressed the gathered humans in a voice that was both chilling and mesmerizing. It was clear they had studied humanity's languages and culture with great precision, but there was something unnerving in the way they spoke. Their words were carefully measured and delivered with the weight of centuries of experience. The message was simple yet terrifying. "We have come to observe the awakening of your species we have watched for millennia, and now we must determine if you are a threat or an asset." For the first time since the signal had begun to pulse across the stars, humanity's leaders were faced with a question that they had not anticipated. What did these visitors know about them? And what did they mean by the awakening of Earth's warriors? The meeting was tense, and every word exchanged felt like it carried the potential to spark a war. The humans tried to remain calm, but their minds raced with the implications of the ex-Heron's words. How could they have known about the powers that were just beginning to surface on Earth? Was this what the galaxy feared? Were these ancient warriors somehow connected to humanity's history? Varkal and his delegation made no move to explain their true intentions. They simply observed and analyzed the humans before them, as though they were studying an interesting specimen. Their gaze never wavered. Their eyes seemed to pierce through the very souls of those who stood before them in the room. It was clear that these aliens were not here for a peaceful exchange of knowledge. They had come to judge humanity's potential as a threat. Back on Earth's surface, the situation grew even more tense as other alien ships began to arrive from distant corners of the galaxy, each race responding to the signal in their own way. Some arrived in peace, offering gifts and knowledge, while others prepared for war. While the world's governments scrambled to respond to these visitors, scientists continued their research into the dormant powers awakening within the human population. Early tests had shown that some individuals were beginning to experience heightened physical capabilities and psychic abilities. These were the first signs of the long-buried legacy, that the signal had triggered a legacy that had been dormant for far too long. Varkal's visit was only the beginning as the galaxy's most powerful factions slowly began to make their presence known. Earth found itself at the center of a growing storm. Humanity was no longer a small, insignificant species. Their true potential had been revealed, and the question was no longer whether the galaxy would accept Earth, but whether Earth would rise to meet the challenge ahead. The arrival of the alien forces marked the beginning of an uncertain era for humanity. No longer were they a silent presence on the outskirts of the galaxy. They had been thrust into the center of an intergalactic struggle that they were woefully unprepared for. While Earth's governments worked furiously to manage diplomatic relations, the scientists working around the clock to decode the signal made a discovery that would change everything. The signal was not just a message, it was a key, an ancient trigger hidden within the very DNA of humanity itself. At the heart of Earth's most classified research facility, a small team of geneticists had been studying the patterns embedded within the signal. The sequence was no random combination of numbers and symbols. It was a blueprint for unlocking something deep within the human genome, something that had been dormant for millennia, but when activated would unleash a wave of untapped potential that could turn the tide of galactic conflict. The scientists were stunned at first. They had known the signal was unique, but they hadn't expected this: a precise genetic code that corresponded to certain sequences found only in humans and in no other species across the galaxy. It was clear now that humanity was no mere accident of evolution. Their genetic makeup had been intentionally engineered by an unknown hand long ago. It didn't take long for the first test subjects to demonstrate the effects. The research team injected the genetic modifications into a small group of volunteers, and what followed was nothing short of extraordinary. Within days, the volunteers began to display enhanced physical strength, heightened senses, and most startling of all, a profound psychic awareness. They could sense the thoughts and emotions of others. Their minds seemed to open in ways that no human had ever experienced before. The effects were not without side effects. Some individuals began to suffer from overwhelming sensory overload. Others experienced violent mood swings and aggression. But the potential was undeniable. Humanity had been chosen to inherit something far beyond the capabilities of any other species in the galaxy. These were the warrior genes dormant within their ancestors, waiting to be awakened for the moment when Earth would stand on the precipice of war. As the first signs of these abilities began to manifest across the globe, the world's leaders faced a critical decision. Should they reveal this newfound power to the public and risk mass panic, or should they keep it hidden and use it only in the event of an alien attack? The stakes were higher than ever, and the balance of power in the galaxy seemed to be shifting in humanity's favor. But there was still much to learn about the signal and its true purpose. The more the scientists delved into its structure, the more they realized that the activation was not just a matter of unlocking physical abilities, but also of awakening something deeper, something tied to the very core of humanity's collective consciousness. The signal had been designed not just to create warriors, but to unite them, to bind humanity together in a way that would give them the strength to face the galaxy's greatest powers. While Earth's governments debated how to precede the HFY Empire, and the other alien factions watched from the shadows, observing every move, every shift in humanity's development, they were keenly aware of the implications of these revelations, and none of them were eager to face a fully awakened Earth. The prophecy that had long been whispered among the galaxy's oldest civilizations was now playing out before their eyes, and the fear that had been dormant for centuries had returned. Humanity was no longer the insignificant species they had once been. They had the potential to reshape the galaxy, to challenge the empires that had ruled for millennia, and to bring about a new age where Earth's warriors would rise not as slaves, but as leaders of their own destiny. As humanity's powers continued to grow, so did the tension across the galaxy. The signal that had awoken Earth's latent abilities was no longer a mere curiosity. It had become a harbinger of something much darker. Something the galaxy had long feared, but had never truly believed would resurface. The ancient prophecy, once dismissed as myth, had now begun to unfold before their very eyes. The galaxy's greatest powers were on high alert, with ambassadors, fleets, and spies dispatched to Earth to observe the rapidly changing situation. Within the highest echelons of the HFY Empire, Varkal and his fellow leaders convened in a secret war room. They had known something would happen when the signal was activated, but they hadn't anticipated the sheer scale of the transformation. It wasn't just about Earth's potential for war. It was about what the humans could become. What they had unleashed was not merely physical prowess, but a deeper, more profound connection to an ancient force that none had seen for eons. The humans were not simply inheriting a genetic legacy. They were tapping into a forgotten power, one that could upend the delicate balance the Empire had worked so tirelessly to maintain. But it wasn't just the HFY who feared the humans. The Galactic Council, though still largely silent, had begun to shift its stance. Quiet whispers spread among the various factions, from the graceful Erythians to the brutal Thaler, each recognizing the threat that Earth's awakening posed. They had never considered the humans a threat before, but now, the very fabric of the galaxy seemed to tremble at the thought of what these new warriors could do. Among the rebel factions that existed on the fringes of the Galactic Council, a different perspective began to take root. These outcasts, once considered fringe players in the galactic landscape, had long whispered of the rise of Earth. They had known, for centuries, that humanity's potential was not only vast, but that their role in the galaxy had been deliberately obscured, hidden. Now, with the signal's awakening, these rebels understood that the time had come. The humans were the last obstacle to the Council's iron rule. On Earth, as the powers of its new warriors continued to evolve, a select group of human leaders and scientists began to uncover the darkest truth behind the signal. It wasn't merely a gift, nor was it simply the product of forgotten technology. The signal had been a warning, a coded message that held the key to an ancient and buried history, one that stretched across millennia and involved not just Earth, but a host of other worlds, all of which had once stood as part of a great galactic alliance. The truth, however, was far darker than anyone had realized. Earth had once been a part of a vast empire of civilizations, an empire built on conquest and domination. The humans, however, had rebelled against their overlords, an ancient race known as the Pyrexians, beings whose technology and might had rivaled the galaxy's most powerful factions. They had been the true rulers, and the humans were their greatest threat. In a war that had reshaped the galaxy, Earth's ancestors had helped to bring down the Pyrexian Empire. The signal had been designed to ensure that humanity would never again rise to threaten the remaining powers. As the galaxy's greatest forces began to make their moves, the humans faced a difficult choice. Should they embrace their newfound powers and rise as the warriors they were always meant to be, or should they hide from their past, hoping to avoid the wrath of the empire they had once brought down? But the truth was unavoidable. The galaxy had never forgotten the human rebellion. The Pyrexians had been erased from history, their empire destroyed, but their fear of Earth's warriors had not waned. The signal had reawakened that fear, and now the galaxy was watching, waiting to see if humanity would rise as the unstoppable force it had once been, or if they would fall into the same trap of silence and subjugation that had kept them hidden for so long. The storm was coming, and the galaxy knew that humanity's role in it had only just begun. The revelation of humanity's forgotten past sent shockwaves through Earth's leadership. The truth was now clear. The signal was not just a wake-up call for humanity, but a challenge from the depths of galactic history. The Earth had once stood as the greatest threat to the galaxy's order, and the old powers of the universe had not forgotten that fact. The Pyrexians may have fallen, but their fear of humanity's potential lived on in the hearts of those who had once opposed them. As the leaders of the world gathered to discuss their next steps, the first signs of resistance began to appear. It was not just in the hidden laboratories where human powers were being unlocked, but in the streets, in the hearts of ordinary people. Stories began to circulate, whispers of ordinary citizens, workers, farmers, and soldiers displaying extraordinary feats of strength and agility, their abilities growing with each passing day. There were reports of psychic phenomena, visions, telepathy, even glimpses of the future that no one could explain. The dormant power within humanity was awakening not only in the trained soldiers and scientists, but in people from all walks of life. Across the globe, governments scrambled to maintain order, but their authority was being slowly eroded. The people no longer saw themselves as subjects to be controlled by outdated political structures. They were humanity's last hope. The warriors of Earth were not just an elite few. They were an entire species, ready to rise to their destiny. Earth's military, once the backbone of its defense, now became a beacon of human strength and unity. While some factions still hesitated, afraid of the immense power they now controlled, others embraced it wholeheartedly. A new era of leadership began to emerge, one that recognized the importance of collective action. Ordinary soldiers, emboldened by their newfound abilities, began to form resistance cells, units that could outmaneuver and outfight any alien force. They trained tirelessly, tapping into their awakening powers, learning to harness the energy that now coursed through them. Soon, these warriors became more than just an army. They were a symbol of defiance. The alien forces that had once watched Earth from a distance now found themselves caught in an unexpected predicament. The ex-Heron Empire, who had initially sought to control the situation through diplomacy and intimidation, quickly realized the stakes had changed. Earth was no longer a planet to be ignored, a species to be dismissed. The humans were unyielding. They were adapting faster than anyone had anticipated, and their warriors were becoming stronger by the day. The first true test of humanity's defiance came when the ex-Heron fleet, in an attempt to intimidate Earth into submission, launched a surprise attack on Earth's orbital defense platforms. They believed that, like in the past, a show of force would make humanity cower. But they were wrong. Earth's warriors, now fully aware of their potential, took to the skies. They flew fighter jets enhanced by human ingenuity, powered by the same genetic enhancements that made them stronger and faster. They confronted the alien fleet head-on, outmaneuvering the ex-Heron warships with an astonishing display of coordination and strength. The humans didn't simply fight. They fought with a precision and fire that no one had expected. The once frightened species had transformed into a force of nature, a whirlwind of energy and willpower that could not be stopped. The tide of battle turned quickly. Earth's forces, bolstered by their new powers, began to push back the invaders. The ex-Heron ships, once seemingly invincible, now found themselves overwhelmed by human ingenuity and resilience. The very warriors the galaxy had feared were now standing shoulder to shoulder against their would-be oppressors. What had once been a fragile world on the brink of annihilation was now a powerhouse ready to reshape the galaxy. As the X-Heron Empire retreated, humiliated and battered, the message was clear. Earth would no longer be a passive player. It was a new dawn, and humanity was ready to claim its place as the galaxy's greatest force. The storm of conflict had only just begun, but Earth was no longer a spectator. It was the storm itself. With victory in the air and humanity's defiance shining like a beacon, the galaxy would never be the same again. The victory against the X-Heron Empire reverberated across the galaxy, but it was far from the end of humanity's struggle. Earth had proven its defiance, and the galaxy's power structures were shaken to their core. But with every victory, a new challenge emerged, one that humanity could not yet fully comprehend. The X-Heron had retreated, but their humiliation was not something easily forgotten. The shock of humanity's unexpected rise spread quickly through the higher echelons of the Galactic Council. No longer could they ignore the rapidly developing species that had once been so inconsequential. In hushed corridors and hidden chambers, the leaders of the galaxy's most powerful factions began to gather, their fear and uncertainty turning to something far more dangerous, a unified determination to eliminate this new threat before it grew beyond control. At first, the Council's response was fragmented. Some factions, like the peaceful Erythians and the scholarly Zorlan, sought to understand what had sparked humanity's sudden transformation. They were still unsure if Earth's newfound power was a blessing or a curse. Others, like the militant Thaler, saw humanity's rise as an existential threat, and they began to organize an assault. The galaxy had lived under a delicate peace for centuries, maintained by power and fear. Earth, with its unyielding will and raw potential, was the catalyst that could shatter this balance. But the Galactic Council, divided as it was, couldn't act fast enough. A growing faction of rebel races, long dissatisfied with the Council's authoritarian control, saw Earth's rebellion as a symbol of hope. They rallied to Earth's side, forming a makeshift alliance that promised a new order, one where power would be shared more equitably among all species. But this union was fragile, built on mutual distrust and desperation. The rebel forces were divided in their goals, and their loyalty to Earth was fleeting at best. They had no intention of letting Earth dominate the galaxy. They simply wanted to use Earth's newfound strength to tear down the old power structures. And as these factions moved to challenge the Council, Earth itself faced an even greater crisis. While Earth's warriors had become a symbol of hope, they were also a source of tension within their own ranks. Not every human agreed on how to wield their power. There were those who saw their newfound abilities as a gift, one that could lead humanity into a new era of peace, cooperation, and growth. But there were others who saw their power as a weapon to be used to dominate, to seize control of the galaxy and reshape it in their image. These divisions within Earth's own ranks threatened to unravel the fragile unity that had emerged in the wake of their victory. As Earth's leaders struggled to maintain control, the alien factions saw the fractures as an opportunity. In a bold move, the Thaler and their allies launched a coordinated assault on Earth's defense fleets, targeting the home planet with devastating precision. They believed that if they could defeat Earth now, before humanity's forces fully coalesced, they could snuff out the rebellion before it ever reached its peak. The battle that followed was fierce, more brutal than anything Earth had yet faced. The alien forces had learned from their earlier defeat, and they came prepared with new tactics, advanced weapons, and ruthless efficiency. Humanity's warriors, still reeling from the shock of their own awakening, found themselves stretched thin, caught between defending their home world and trying to hold the fragile alliance together. The battle raged for days, as Earth's warriors fought valiantly to protect their planet and their place in the galaxy. But despite their courage, cracks began to form within their defenses. As the Thaler pushed deeper into Earth's orbit, the once unified human resistance began to splinter. Some factions began to question their alliance with the rebels, while others feared that humanity had become as tyrannical as the very empires they had sought to overthrow. It was in this chaos that the true nature of Earth's power was revealed. the power to unite or destroy. The choice was no longer about defeating the alien forces. It was about defining humanity's future. Would they rise as a beacon of hope, or would they fall to the same dark impulses that had once led the galaxy into war? As the battle reached its climax, Earth faced a crossroads. Its warriors could either unite and face the galaxy's united front, or they could allow their differences to tear them apart, just as the galaxy had feared. In the end, it wasn't just about military might. It was about what kind of future humanity wanted to create. The stakes had never been higher, and the outcome was uncertain. The final battle loomed on the horizon, and Earth stood at the precipice of a new era, or its ultimate destruction. The Thaler-led assault had battered the planet's defenses, but the real war was now being fought within humanity itself. The warriors who had once stood united against an alien threat now found themselves divided by ideologies, ambition, and fear. Some believe humanity's power should be used to build a new, peaceful galaxy where all races could coexist, while others saw it as an opportunity to dominate, to carve out an empire that would rival the ancient forces that had once ruled the stars. As Earth's once unified defense forces splintered, the pressure mounted on Earth's leaders to make a choice. Could they hold their fractured world together long enough to repel the invaders, or would they collapse under the weight of their own internal discord? The fate of Earth and the galaxy now hinged on a single question. Could humanity find unity before it was too late? On the surface of Earth, the battle raged. Alien warships circled the planet, relentless and unyielding, firing down upon the beleaguered human fleets. Yet amidst the chaos, there was an undeniable force within the warriors of Earth. The genetic enhancements they had unlocked were not simply physical. They were tied to something deeper, something that transcended individual abilities. Humanity's strength lay in its diversity, in its ability to adapt, to come together, and to rise above. A handful of humanity's greatest warriors, those who had come to realize the potential of unity, gathered in a remote mountain base, far from the front lines. Among them was General Calidrex, the leader of Earth's united military forces, who had once been a skeptic of the power that had awakened within humanity. She had spent months reconciling with the warriors who sought domination, trying to show them that strength did not come from oppression, but from cooperation. Beside her stood Commander Eli Voss, a former rebel leader who had rallied the scattered resistance forces. Though they had their differences, they understood the importance of this moment. Their world would either fall or rise depending on their ability to work together. With a final, desperate plan in place, Kala and Eli knew this would be their last stand. They would face the Thaler invasion head-on, but they would do so by uniting humanity's power into a single, unstoppable force. They called upon the greatest warriors, scientists, diplomats, and soldiers to cast aside their divisions and fight as one. The signal that had once triggered humanity's awakening would now serve as their rallying cry. They would unlock the final level of their dormant power, an awakening that would unite their minds, bodies, and spirits as never before. As Earth's military forces gathered for one final push, the skies above were filled with the roaring hum of the largest fleet humanity had ever assembled. Every fighter jet, every warship, every soldier was enhanced by the genetic powers they had unlocked, working in perfect harmony. A wave of psychic energy radiated from their collective consciousness, a power that seemed to defy the very laws of nature. For the first time, the human race was truly united, not just in goal, but in the very fabric of their being. The battle unfolded in an instant, and Earth's forces surged forward like a tidal wave. The Thaler, taken aback by the sheer might of humanity's combined power, struggled to maintain their hold. The once unyielding empire faltered, as humanity's warriors tore through their ranks with relentless precision. The psychic link that connected Earth's forces allowed them to anticipate each enemy's move, turning the tide of battle in ways that even the Thaler had not expected. But the fight was far from over. The Thaler commanders, desperate to maintain control, activated their final weapon, a massive planet-destroying device designed to cripple Earth's defenses. Time was running out. In the final moments, Kala and Eli, their powers fully merge, raced toward the weapon. With a unified effort, they combined their psychic and physical strength to disable the device, just as it began to charge. The explosion that followed was enormous, but it was the last act of defiance, the final stand that ensured humanity's survival. Earth was scared, but it was not destroyed. In the aftermath, the galaxy stood still. The Thaler had been defeated, and the rebellion was over. Earth had emerged victorious, but at a cost. The divisions within humanity had not disappeared, and there was much to rebuild. Yet in that moment, humanity had proven something more important than their military strength. They had proven their resilience, their capacity to unite in the face of destruction, and their refusal to be erased from the galaxy's history. With the galaxy watching, Earth's leaders called for peace, offering a new vision for the future, a future where humanity, with all its flaws and strengths, could carve out its own destiny among the stars. The warriors of Earth had awakened, not as conquerors, but as protectors, ready to defend their world and the new order they would create. The galaxy had learned the true meaning of fear, not from a race of warriors who sought domination, but from a species that refused to be subdued. The storm had passed. The warriors of Earth had risen, and they would never fall again.